Hi everyone, this is Stan. I'm a YouTuber from Poland who used to live in Taiwan for 9 years and now making videos on Asian politics. Last time, when the chairman of China, Xi Jinping, delivered a speech at the United Nations 75th anniversary high-level meeting, it was probably one of the biggest slaps in his own face, and some of his sayings have been laughed at in Chinese-speaking circles. Let's take a look at what he said. Relations among countries and coordination of their interests must only be based on rules and institutions. They must not be lorded over by those who wave a strong fist at others. If you translate it directly, it should sound like you shouldn't listen to and follow the guy with bigger fists. Big countries should lead by example, in advocating and upholding the international rule of law, and in honoring their commitments. There must be no practice of exceptionalism and double standards, nor should international law be distorted and used as a pretext to undermine other countries' legitimate rights and interests, or world peace and stability. It's pretty obvious that Xi is implying here that the guy with bigger fists is the US. But why does the chairman of China, Xi Jinping, publicly use this kind of strict language on such an international occasion to describe the United States, a country that values freedom, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law? The words used by Xi Jinping, the leader who represents the supreme power of the CCP, simply reveal the true values of the Chinese Communist Party. Let me explain. The godfather of the Chinese Communist Party, Mao Zedong, had a saying: political power grows out of the barrel of a gun, which is known widely in Asia and all around the world. In my opinion, this saying perfectly illustrates the core values of the CCP. Anyone who has some understanding of the Communist Party can tell you that this kind of one-party dictatorship needs military to truly have control over the country. What we have in China right now is very similar to North Korea's Songun, or military first principle. This principle elevates the army, granting it the primary positions in the government and society. All those reforms and opening of China is just an excuse to get more funds to grow the army. And when the democratic countries in the EU or the United States is condemning China's illegal activities, such as building artificial islands in South China Sea, aggression towards India at the border region, the multiple provocations in Taiwan Strait, China is aggressively trying to dominate the world. Look at their One Belt One Road initiative, which is simply a trap for the participating countries. And there is only one winner, which is the CCP. Look at technology theft and theft of personal data. What China is doing is extremely arrogant, unreasonable, tone-deaf. Its cunning and manipulative behavior is no different from that of a criminal. The CCP's leadership is a thug of the world. First of all, let's take a look how China has been waving its fist in South China Sea. According to the report published by the US-China Economic and Security Review Commission in 2016, China illegally built artificial islands in Spratly region, with a total area of 3,000 acres on coral reef, which not only violated the sovereignty of other countries, affected the security of neighboring nations, violated the principles of international law, but also caused serious damage to marine environment. The South China Sea is a highly biodiverse marine area. The Spratly Islands alone have 333 species of reef coral. And after China has started building its artificial islands, it has damaged badly the marine environment around the coral reefs. It had a huge influence on the surrounding fisheries. China has violated its environmental commitments under international law. According to the UN Convention on the Law of Sea, which China has ratified, states have the obligation to protect and preserve the marine environment. Coming back to Xi Jinping's speech, when he called on countries to follow the international law, it was such a slap in his own face: say one thing and do directly opposite. All the promises they give are just in a single purpose to violate them. It's one of the means to deceive the whole world. In 2019, there was an article on nature.com regarding the evidence of environmental changes caused by Chinese island building. Dredging activities led to a decrease in biological health of the region, resulting from smothering of natural benthic habitats and reef complexes with sediment. The damage done to the marine environment shouldn't be underestimated. And what you hear from China? That it's #1 country in environmental protection. And of course, China wasn't only building those islands for its military. Many Chinese fishing vessels also appeared in the region, always accompanied by Chinese marine police, constantly harassing the citizens of the nearby countries, crowding out fishing boats, intimidating local fishermen, and seriously affecting the lives of fishermen in nearby areas. Again, we see that China is acting like a thug and a troublemaker, causing problems to the neighboring nations. South China Sea is not a property of China according to the international law. Those waters are not Chinese internal waters. What the CCP is doing is shamelessly building those artificial islands, then waving its big fist around and saying, "This is mine." So if it walks like a thug, if it talks like a thug, if it threatens the others like a thug, then it probably is a thug. another friendly neighbor it pretends to be. Xi also said there must be no practice of exceptionalism and double standards, nor should international law be distorted. Isn't that just another slap in the CCP's face? This big fist doctrine can also be seen in China's actions of technology theft. After losing in international court over South China Sea, China just continues to put forward its new initiatives, such as Global Data Security Initiative, simply to fight against the US's Clean Network. I made a video before on each of China's 8 points of the Global Data Security Initiative. If you are interested, you can take a look. I'm talking about the issue in details there. There is a lot of evidence pointing out that the CCP is using WeChat to conduct large-scale monitoring and censorship of users who are using sensitive words at home and abroad. They use the power of state to support the collection of personal data of global key figures by Zhenhua Company, which has strong contacts with Chinese military. Zhenhua has been collecting and integrating personal data, including information on family members and even criminal records of the key individuals. It all only benefits CCP spies, politicians, and businessmen. They use this data to fight against their competitors, to monopolize the markets, infiltrate the governments, bribe the officials in medium and small-sized countries. They do the same with their One Belt, One Road initiative. It's a debt trap for the small countries. The CCP will gradually acquire your strategic resources and expand its military to all the corners of the world by means of that soft colonization. Their voice is getting only louder. Now they don't suggest, but rather dictate. With all their strategies, they try to make the world put a blind eye on them, oppressing ethnic minorities, suppressing Hong Kong, threatening to invade Taiwan, or confronting international sanctions by appeasing the CCP. For example, the CCP provided the country of Kyrgyzstan with a loan of more than $380 million. The condition of the loan was that the Chinese company contracted the construction of the project to help rebuild the heating and power plant in the capital city Bishkek after the completion in August 2017. The plant immediately opened in 2018 and failed during a cold snap in the winter when the temperatures went below -30°C, causing the indoor temperatures of many residents' homes dropped to 0°C, causing life threats. It was only after that when the government formed an investigation committee to look into corruption allegations. The $300 million in the Chinese loan was directly transferred to the account of the company related to the President Atambayev, registered in the Virgin Islands. Many of the locals believe that those CCP loans are not for the reconstruction of the power plant, but rather for officials, for their embezzlement activities, and to simply make them rich. In exchange for that, the CCP gains more control over Kyrgyzstan. Currently, China's debt accounts for more than 44% of Kyrgyzstan's foreign debt, making it Kyrgyz's largest creditor. After those news were spreading around Kyrgyzstan, the CCP expressed its anger to the foreign minister of this Central Asian country and accused Kyrgyzstan of humiliating China. In 2020, with changes in governments all across the world, there was a rise in dissatisfaction in One Belt, One Road related projects, including problems of corruption, environmental pollution, and natural resource plundering. The US has also recently been exposing the CCP's strategic ambitions, especially during the economic crisis caused by the virus outbreak. As a result, many countries participating in Belt and Road Initiative stopped or suspended their participation in infrastructure projects. So it seems that the CCP's initiative is being delayed for a while. And let's not forget, how did the CCP try to conceal the coronavirus epidemic in China? And after the global outbreak, they started to blame the other countries for it. Their oppression of Hong Kong and how they reacted to the 5 demands was followed by the criticism from the EU countries. Now the EU countries, one by one, are withdrawing from the CCP's 5G network project. Due to the high political risks, the continuous withdrawal of foreign capital from China, coupled with the CCP's large-scale foreign investment policies, increased the risk of its economic bubble bursting. More and more people in China started questioning the legitimacy of the CCP's regime. Those failures on the global stage also influenced the distribution of interest at the top of the Chinese Communist Party. In the face of the fierce internal struggles, it is difficult for it to find a reasonable explanation for the people in China, who have always believed that their motherland is strong. In order to cover up the incompetence of its leadership, the CCP is trying to switch the attention of the public to the border conflicts. They will probably try to achieve a military victory to affirm their rule. That's the key reason for the provocations in India, or sending fighter jets to harass Taiwan's airspace, insisting that the cross-strait median line set by the United States does not exist, and constantly threatening to occupy Taiwan. Well, all of those events want me to use one saying, which actually is a paraphrase of another saying written in the decree during the times of French Revolution. It says, "With great power comes great responsibility." This saying can represent the US's, Europe's, and any other democratic country's core values. However, the CCP will never understand the meaning of the sentence. In their eyes, they only see the great power, or how they prefer to call it, the big fist. They don't see the morality, sense of duty, kindness, and responsibility behind their powers, as those are the core values of any democratic society. Moreover, the CCP often forgets that any democratic country is not a country owned by a small group of people, which is very different from what's going on in China. In fact, there is a similar story in the classical Chinese novel Journey to the West. In order to punish the Monkey King for causing much trouble in heavens, the Buddha sealed him under the mountain for 500 years. During those 500 years, the Monkey King thought only about the power of Buddha, but he didn't reflect on his own sins at all, and had only been insulting Buddha for days and days. He only learned about the universal values after joining the pilgrimage, which is the Journey to the West, the main theme of the novel. Only then had he completely changed his thoughts and behavior. The words spoken by a country's leader on international occasions usually represent the values of the government. They can't see the responsibility behind the power, and they only care about who has a bigger fist. Today, the CCP has long lost the traditional virtues of Chinese culture. Thank you for watching. If you like the videos, please press like, share, and subscribe to the channel. This is Stan, and I see you in the next one.